This is their address to the United Nations. Didn't get a lot of attention in mainstream media, but as a member of state of the UN, this was North Korea's speech to the UN General Assembly in September. So we'll put that on.
I now give the floor to His Excellency Kim Song-yong, Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, distinguished delegates. First of all, I'd like to express my expectation that the 80th session of the UN General Assembly, convened in the significant year of the 80th founding anniversary of the United Nations, will come to excellent fruition amid extraordinary interest of the participants. Taking note of the opening address of Mr. Guterres and the UN Secretary General on September 3, I commend his assertion that the role of the UN, the one-of-a-kind podium, should be enhanced, since an individual state cannot address issues alone, and that the UN should be reformed to fit for the 21st century. As reflected in the theme of the current session, Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights, we are now at a crucial watershed, where we all look back on the 80-year-long history of the United Nations and chart the future.
So he's referring to the fact that 80 years ago, Hitler was defeated, Japanese imperialism was defeated, and the UN was founded. Right? And that's really, really important. And they do everything they can in the West to obscure that history and to make us forget that China and North Korea and Japan, or not Japan, China and North Korea and Russia were on our side against Japan and against Germany. They try to make us forget that. And that's what he's talking about here, that the 80th year is really, really important. You notice they're not emphasizing that in the United States, right? Even though we were on the winning side of World War II, also, they're really downplaying the 80-year anniversary in America. Very weird.
80 years ago from now, humankind adopted the UN Charter on the debris of the disastrous war, thereby laying a cornerstone for the contemporary international relations and establishing the most inclusive international organization, the United Nations. Since its foundation, the UN has made remarkable successes in various fields, including peace and security and socio-economic development, by accelerating decolonization worldwide and leading the codification of universal norms of international law. Despite many twists and turns, it is fortunate that a new world war has not broken out. It can be said to be a desired result of the main spirit of the UN Charter to save succeeding generations from the scourge of the World War, which twice has brought untold sorrow to mankind. We cannot underestimate the role that the UN played in promoting cooperation among nations in the socio-economic fields such as poverty eradication and fight against communicable diseases, and in propelling sustainable development at a global level. However, in the annals of the UN history, disgraceful pages are also recorded, where the title of the UN, overwhelmed by high-handedness and arbitrariness of the hegemonic forces, was abused in exerting pressure to deprive sovereign states of their legitimate right to normal development, quite contrary to the spirit of the Charter. We should not feel relieved nor congratulate ourselves on the non-occurrence of the World War III for the past 80 years. Instead, we should pay due attention to the fact that the inducible threat has persisted and is now becoming more serious. we should take measures accordingly. Madam President, the international community is now witnessing the most turbulent and violent world after World War II. The modern history has recorded many incidents and events, but today the international norms and order established and consolidated along with the foundation of the UN are disregarded, and the sovereignty of states is openly violated as never before. The indiscriminate tariff war vis-à-vis the entire world has plunged the global economy as a whole into the swamp of stagnation and instability. Even the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, committed to eliminating inequality and poverty and ensuring human dignity worldwide, is denied for the reason that it does not meet the interest of an individual country. This is the stark reality. The UN has served as a multilateral forum where all countries of the world, big or small, get together and discuss common responses to global challenges on an equal footing, transcending differences in size, population, and state power. That UN is now faced with an unprecedented severe crisis. All these turbulences and pains suffered by the world are fundamentally caused by high-handedness and arbitrariness and avarice of hegemonic forces in their attempt to subject the whole world to their interests and to place their exclusive interests above the common good of mankind. Madam President, today the complicated international situation highlights the need to reconsider the role of the UN responsible for maintaining international peace and security. As the world's most universal international organization, comprising all sovereign states on the globe, the UN cannot be represented by a certain individual state or a small group of states. In particular, in order to prevent arbitrariness and high-handedness of specific forces, it is imperative to expand and strengthen the representation of developing countries that take up an absolute majority of the UN membership, and to correct the Western-led inappropriate structure in the Security Council entrusted with an important mandate of maintaining international peace and security.
That is one thing about the UN. It's not fair. The permanent members of the Security Council, they have veto status over anything the Security Council does. And they are Russia, China, France, Britain, it's the United States. I mean, it's the countries that won World War II. And there's a lot of underrepresentation. Nobody on the African continent is a permanent member. No one in South America is a permanent member. China is the one Asian country that's a permanent member, and the developing world is significantly underrepresented. The UN is not fair, basically. I mean, there's no question about that.
Only when the UN puts an end to the arbitrary, high-handed, biased, and double-dealing practices in all its activities and strictly adheres to the principles of sovereign equality, non-interference in internal affairs, impartiality, and objectivity, can it restore its image as an organization with the full qualifications and capacity for realizing the purposes of the Charter. Madam President, peace and security are long-cherished desire of humanity and the first agenda of the UN. Without peace and security, we can neither attain the SDGs nor think about a good future that ensures human dignity and prosperity. However, the present objective security situation of the Korean Peninsula is faced with serious challenges more than ever. The U.S. ROK U.S.-Japan military exercises and the U.S.-Japan ROK trilateral military cooperation system directly targeting the DPRK rapidly evolve into a more offensive and aggressive military bloc with a nuclear element content. Meanwhile, war exercises and military buildup against our state are breaking all the previous records in terms of scale, nature, frequency, and scope.
Yeah, this is something that people don't understand about the military exercises the United States does in the Korean Peninsula. The USA has a huge amount of soldiers in North Korea, huge military, airplanes, helicopters, ships, all kinds of stuff. And once a year, they have a drill where they get them all together and they march them right to the border like they're about to attack North Korea. And then they stop when they get to the 38th parallel. And they say, well, it's just a drill. But North Korea is always wondering, when is it not going to be a drill? These military exercises, they say, well, we're just practicing. But basically every year, North Korea watches the USA prepare for an invasion of North Korea and then not invade. And it looks like a provocation, and you can understand that you wouldn't like that, if you were North Korea. And the media in the United States always downplays it. It makes it sound like, oh, North Korea is so mad about a drill. It's a bit of a provocation.
Nowhere in the world can we find such a place as the Korean Peninsula, where the world's biggest nuclear weapon state and its allied forces conduct bilateral and multilateral war exercises all the year round, and even stage real war drills simulating the use of nukes targeting a sovereign state by mobilizing massive multinational combined forces and latest strategic assets. Even a few days before the current session begins, the U.S. and its allied forces waged nuclear war drills such as Iron Mace and Freedom Edge, aimed at mastering the procedure and methods of nuclear attacks against the DPRK and the fait accompli scenario, thus extremely straining the situation on the Korean Peninsula.
Yeah, so it's not just a drill. They practice invading North Korea. They practice nuking North Korea. They practice all-out warfare involving nuclear weapons against North Korea all the time. You think North Korea is going to be happy with that? No, right? And of course, they make it sound like North Korea is being aggressive when they shoot off a missile to demonstrate that they can deflect such an attack.
Yet, even in the face of the tremendous military threat directed against the DPRK and the dangerous security landscape, roaring guns of war are silenced, and peace and security are firmly safeguarded on the Korean Peninsula. This is an undeniable reality. Thanks to our state's enhanced physical war deterrent in direct proportion to the growing threat of aggression of the U.S. and its allies, the will of the enemy state to provoke war is thoroughly contained, and the balance of power on the Korean Peninsula is ensured. In order to permanently maintain this state of balance and ensure everlasting peace on the Korean Peninsula, we have stipulated nuclear in our Constitution as a sacred and absolute thing that can never be touched upon and tampered with. Imposition of denuclearization on the DPRK is tantamount to demanding it to surrender sovereignty and the right to existence and violate the Constitution. We will never give up sovereignty, abandon the right to existence, and violate the Constitution.
Yeah, they've enshrined having nuclear weapons in their Constitution because they're under threat. And it is sacred. We have nuclear weapons. It is in our Constitution. We're not going to give them up. That's a pretty big deal. And they're making clear we're going to stay strong.
Comrade Kim Jong-un, president of the State Affairs of the DPRK, made it clear at the 13th session of the 14th Supreme People's Assembly on December on September 21 that our party and the government would invariably and firmly safeguard without the slightest vacillation the Constitution of the DPRK and its basic law on the policy of nuclear forces perpetuating the possession of nuclear weapons and thoroughly guarantee the supreme interest of our state. The policy line of a Comrade President of the State Affairs represents our state law, and we will defend the state law without fear. We will never give up nuclear, which is our state law, national policy, and sovereign power, as well as the right to existence. Under any circumstances, we will never walk away from this position. Madam President, the DPRK is vigorously opening up the road to overall national prosperity on the basis of peace and security guaranteed by its powerful strength. Vigorous efforts are underway to further consolidate the driving force and potentials for development of a self-reliant national economy in the overall national economy, including industry and agriculture, and to meet the output target. As a result, the completion of the 5-year plan of national economic development set forth by the 8th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea is definitely within reach. Notably, construction of 50,000 residential houses in Pyongyang is carried out without fail on an annual basis well ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, creatures for welfare of the people, including rural dwelling houses, large-scale greenhouses, and modern hospitals are being built grandiosely.
Yeah, he's describing their 5-year economic plans, where every year he said they build 50,000 new houses. They build hospitals. They build new things for their people. They have a 5-year economic plan. That's the old Soviet model, right? Pioneered by Stalin, where the state-run economy have 5-year plans. They have 5-year plans in China as well. And they are a state that understands their obligation is to deliver to their people. And so they have a 5-year economic plan of improving the lives of the population.
View to providing all people with a fluent and civilized new life and rapidly raising the level of development of all regions within a short period of 10 years, the newly adopted policy of rural development is dynamically executed with tangible results one after another. The DPRK is confidently following the road of its own choice without any fluctuation or vacillation, even under the political turmoil worldwide. This reality is a brilliant fruition of the unshakable spirit of independence and correct leadership of the Workers' Party of Korea and the government of the DPRK.
That's really important what he just said there. He said that they're just continuing their independent course of development regardless of the issues in the world. They're basically saying, you know what, no matter what, we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep going. That's Juche, the ideology of self-reliance. We're just going to keep going, right? The rest of the world is having problems and all of that. Well, you know, we're just going to keep going.
Madam President, this year, marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, colorful political and cultural events have taken place in various countries commemorating the victory in the anti-fascist World War. It is an expression of the rock-firm will of the righteous international community not to tolerate the attempts to deny the result of the anti-fascist World War and national liberation struggles achieved at a tremendous sacrifice. 8 years have passed since the end of World War II. Yet, genocide and crimes against humanity that can even overshadow Hitler are now openly committed in the Middle East, much to the consternation of the world.
He's talking about Israel right there. He's saying genocide and the crimes of Hitler are now being committed in the Middle East.
Israel, which massacred over 60,000 Palestinian civilians in the past 2 years, is seeking to occupy the whole area of Gaza by force and completely exterminate the Palestinian population. We strongly urge Israel to stop immediately crimes against humanity and withdraw from the Gaza Strip.
Damn, he just laid it all out there, didn't he? I thought he was speaking in innuendo, but then he just said Israel is committing genocide. We call on Israel to stop immediately its crimes against humanity.
Likewise, we fully support the establishment of an independent state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital and Palestine's full-fledged membership of the UN. Madam President, independence, peace, and friendship are the invariable external policy ideals of the DPRK. The DPRK will, as in the past, so in the future, collaborate with all countries and nations that oppose and reject aggression, intervention, domination, and subjugation, and aspire after independence and justice, irrespective of differences in ideals and systems. The DPRK will promote multifaceted exchanges and cooperation with the countries that respect and take friendly approaches towards it. Thank you.
I thank the Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Wow. There's a lot there. Before I give my full reaction, I'm going to put on their national anthem. Wow. Wow. I think about that speech and I think about then the anthem that we just heard, right? There's a lot there, I mean, North Korea, you can count on them. They are not going to back down. They're not going to give in. And the end of his speech where he just said, look, there's a lot of turmoil in the world. There's a lot going on, but, we're just going to keep doing it. We're building 50,000 houses a year, 50,000 housing units. We're building new hospitals and we're never going to give up our nuclear weapons. We just put that in our constitution. And, Israel, the whole world condemns what Israel is doing. And we're proud of the defeat of the Nazis. And it's just, they're not bothered by it, right? They're just like solid, like iron, right? There's just something very, very admirable about that. That, the world can have all kinds of crazy stuff go on it, but North Korea is just like, we're locked in, we're loaded, we're focused, we're getting the job done, and we're, okay, this might happen around the world or whatever, but we are locked in and we are just going to keep going. Wow. I mean, there's something just deeply, deeply, deeply admirable about that. We saw the lyrics of their anthem. In the spirit of Mount Pac-2, with the love of toil that shall never die, with the will of iron fostered by truth, we'll lead the whole world by and by. We will have the might to foil the angry sea. Our land more prosperous still shall be, as by the people's will we strive. Korea shall forever thrive. Wow. And I think about our organization, CPI, and how we need to learn from that. We need to just be as solid as North Korea. What other people do and other stuff happening and this, there, it shouldn't affect us. Right? It shouldn't have any effect on us. We should just be able to just be solid as a rock and just keep our eyes on what we're doing and just focus and get the job done, right? And I mean, North Korea, there's something very, very admirable. As hard as they've been through and, as difficult, they have been through the Korean War. They've been through the arduous March period in the 90s, and they are just focused. And, the turmoil on the ocean and all the stuff in the world doesn't bother them. They just keep plowing ahead. Makes me proud that we've done so much to stand with North Korea. This was our Peace MAGA campaign that we did during the election.
So we just loaded up the banner and the PVC pipes, and we're headed up to Central Park. Let's see how this goes. We have the banner out, and now we're getting the zip ties on. How's it going, guys?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Beautiful. Nope, it's not gonna hold. So now we want to cut some poles in, cut the other pole in half. All right, so we're here at Trump Tower. Noah and I made it. We seem to have lost track of Phil along the way. He stopped to buy some water. Hopefully he's with us soon, but mission is accomplished. We got the banner to Trump Tower. Only peace can make America great again.
This is the man that we want Donald Trump to be. Here on this banner, you will see the greatest thing that Donald Trump did in his entire presidency. He went and became the first president to ever visit the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea. This is a country that's been technically at war with the United States since the 1950s.
Donald Trump shaking hands with oligarchs told you we're our enemies. They told you these people are horrible. They told you these people are terrible, that they will never do anything good for us. There's a reason for that. It's called money. It's called power. They want to weaken you mentally. They want to capture your spirit, stomp you out, and tell you, why bother? Why get out of bed in the morning? Why do anything worthwhile? No. Understand, peace is possible, but you must give it a chance. Giving peace a chance is giving yourself a chance.
We are here to say that only peace can make America great again. And that what Donald Trump did on North Korea, that was awesome. And we want that to continue. We want more peace negotiation. We want more trade. We want more diplomacy.
The real America is not with the bankers, it's not the criminals on Wall Street.
We don't control our government anymore. And our republic is being run by powerful forces that are very much unelected or subverting our democracy.
Rebuild America. Rebuild our country instead of bombing countries around the world. We need Donald Trump to stand up to the military-industrial complex. We need Donald Trump to stand up to the war lobby.
We want to put America first and not the criminals who are lining their pockets on Wall Street with American taxpayer money to go bomb children overseas. Believe the oligarchs at your own peril. Believe them and sleep under a bridge. Believe them and not have a job. Believe them and understand you'll never have health care. Believe them and see what you get. Let's believe in one another. Let's believe that peace is possible.
It's going good. I mean, people have been reacting well. Small crowds will form when we have the bullhorn out, and then we'll take a break for a little bit and they'll disperse. Earlier, the Secret Service came by. I thought that was interesting. I think we're making an impact.
Russia's not our enemy. China's not our enemy. North Korea is not our enemy. Our enemy is the war lobby. Our enemy is the military-industrial complex. And if we really love America, we should demand that they take all the money they spend on bombs and tanks and weapons and rebuild this country.
Only peace will make America great again. We need to go back to this moment when Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, went to a country that we have technically been at war with since 1952 and said, let's give peace a chance. We want Trump to be a peace candidate. Every poll says that the American people want peace.
We're out here doing amazing work today, speaking out loud and proud about what we should be doing about making the world a better place. I'm really excited about it. Everyone has been amazing. Our message is getting through to people. I heard people actually talking as I walked by, saying, give peace a chance.
We need jobs and schools and healthcare and education in this country, not wars around the world, not death, destruction, and militarism. Only peace can make America great again. Why is it that people in North Carolina are left stranded while the National Guard is in the Middle East? America's working families have been left behind while our leaders focus on wars in other countries. America first means working families first. It means no more wars. It means offering a hand of friendship and cooperation to countries around the world.
We are out here in front of Trump Tower today to say we deserve that, and we do not want World War III.
That's right. They want to weaken you mentally. They want to capture your spirit, stomp you out, and tell you, why bother? Why get out of bed in the morning? Why do anything worthwhile? No! Americans don't want their tax dollars to be dumped into a hole, funding wars around the world so that bankers on Wall Street can play a game of dominating the economies of the world, while Americans are starving in ditches all across this country, while there are homeless people sitting 3 blocks from the White House. In the richest country on the face of the earth, so-called, you have homeless people on every block, on every street, on every city. Why is that?
Only peace can make America great again. Only peace can make America great again. Only peace can make America great again.
If Donald Trump wants to get back in the White House, we say that he needs to do what the American people want him to do, and that is to make peace around the world. Let's stand up for each other. Let's believe in one another. Let's believe that peace is possible.
Only peace can make America great again, and this is the man that you want Donald Trump to be. This brought tears to my eyes. I was so moved when it happened to see the President of the United States and the President of North Korea shaking hands. This is what the new world could be. This is who we want Donald Trump to be. We want him to be a peace president. We want him to be a peace candidate in this election.
I'm hungry. I'm really, really hungry. I mean, it was hard work walking it over here. It was like a 2-mile walk? Yeah. Felt like it. And it's the wind. It's like a big sail.
Challenging but rewarding. You
Yeah.
know, we actually had fun.
We're the Center for Political Innovation, and we are out here saying only peace can make America great again.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think about North Korea, and it makes me proud that we have done so much to support North Korea here in the center of U.S. imperialism, here in the center of American imperialism. We have done so much to stand with them, and we will continue doing it. So I guess I'll put on another song in honor of peaceful reunification of Korea. I think we got one more question to answer. Any more questions that come in, we'll answer them. Yeah. Yeah, North Korea is still here. And no matter what goes on in the world, they just plow on, raising their people up, defending their homeland. And the Center for Political Innovation has got to be the same way. No matter what goes on, no matter what turmoil, no matter what drama, we just press on, looking for any opening to build an anti-imperialist movement, to find people and bring them into our community, our family of people that is striving to raise awareness and educate, whether it's on the streets of Minneapolis or the streets of Chicago or the streets of Portland, Maine, or the streets of Portland, Oregon, or Los Angeles, whether it's, books about Ibrahim Traore, whether it's big banners about Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-un. We are going to teach anti-imperialism, and we're going to build the movement this country desperately needs. We are going to do it. So I'm really proud of us. All right.